Hey everybody, welcome to Snow Talk. This is Way 3 News meteorologist Brian Good, where we always take a look at the long-term pattern to see if there's anything cooking on the models that's worth discussion. And in some cases there is, and in some cases there is not, but the blog is here for us to discuss that for all you weather enthusiasts. For those of you that get upset that we talk about snow all the time and nothing ever seems to happen, just because we haven't lucked out so far, I don't control the weather, I'm just discussing it. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop discussing that either. Keep in mind that if I were to ignore a chance of snow in the forecast just so that I can avoid any type of issue of height, and it does snow and everybody slides their underwear, who's going to get yelled at? Yeah, so it's our job to always inform you guys of how things are looking, and we'll do our best to get it right every single time. And sometimes we're not going to be able to, but we're going to do our best. All right, so having said that, let's move on to the stats. Kind of depressing to look at these for snow lovers. Last year at this time, 17.2 inches of snow. We had a big snow event on Groundhog Day and Super Bowl last year, and that really upped our total. And then we had snow all the way to March 25th, actually, last year. This year, still holding steady at 4.8, which is a good 2 inches below where we should be. On the board, I've given it 2 Twix bars for tomorrow night into early Thursday, mainly because of impact, not so much the snow amount. It looks like with temperatures getting warm as they could be tomorrow, the initial hour of this precipitation does look to be rain before it goes to snow. That's not good because you're going to get the roads are going to get wet, then you're going to get a light snow on top of that, and then you're going to have a flash freeze. And all that combination could really hamper the roads for Wednesday night into early Thursday. Now, the earlier it happens, the better the road crews can tackle a lot of this and keep it manageable because it's not going to be heavy amounts of anything. But the later it waits, it's something that is trying to push it closer to sunrise, then that's going to be more of an issue if it's happening right as traffic is ongoing. But at this point, we're leaning more toward it being before rush hour, which hopefully will give everybody a chance on the road crews to take care of things. So we'll watch that. Notice, though, after that, I just give February 13th as a date onward. Because between now and then, I don't see anything really interesting to put on the board. I think it's going to, you'll have to wait till the pattern gets a little more deeper with the colder temperatures, and that pattern does look to take shape as we get closer to Valentine's Day and for the rest of the month. All right, for today, we're at 35 as of, you see there the clock, 1:05 here this afternoon. We should at least hit 40 to maybe 42 in some locations. A lot of us will get stuck in the 30s. But just a few hot and cirrus clouds, and that's really about it. So, what is coming our way? Well, here's the warm front right here. It's got snow on the north side. That's not going to be an issue for us. It's going to head due east. But south of there, that's a strong south flow. That's what's going to push us upward. In fact, we may drop briefly this evening, and then we'll rise overnight, probably into the mid-upper 30s. We've seen this many times this season. I think that's what's going to happen later tonight. We're going to see a temperature rise towards sunrise, and could very easily get close to 50, if not a little higher, if we get enough sun before the actual cold front, which is not really shown very well on the satellite image. It'll get strung out. A piece of energy is diving down out of Canada, will enhance along the back side of this front, and then that wave will then work its way to the south and east. There's not much on the radar to show you yet of what's coming our way, but it will develop in the next 12 hours. All right, here's the RPM. Time to discuss some models. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the RPM is pushing us again into the 50-degree range, especially for Kentucky. Indiana, you probably won't get as lucky. The clouds are going to hit you quicker, and the precipitation will hit you quicker as well. Then as we get into the evening, it's that pink area. That is where the initial start of it will be a mix, if not rain, with temperatures around 40, and then you crash quickly into the freezing mark level. So it's going to be a quick changeover to a burst of snow, and that wave will pass through as we get into the late evening time frame, around the 11 o'clock news, into our southern counties. It's not lasting long. This is moving quick. If it were to slow down, this would be a little more of an exciting issue for snow lovers, but it's moving fast enough that it's going to limit the amounts. And then it's out of here for rush hour, but notice the temperatures. Flash freeze potential out of that, and if we get into rain in advance with snow on top, that's what I'm worried about. Now let me show you the high-res NAM model. Here's Louisville right here. It's Jefferson County. It doesn't have the cities on it, so I apologize. But this is taking us to about 6 p.m., and you see it's got the band of snowfall, again, starting in the green area initially as rain. Then we get into about, say, 8 o'clock. Goes over to snow here in Louisville, north and east on 71. In southern Indiana, certainly will be snow. Then look what happens. We lose a lot of the energy out of the system by late evening. A lot of that begins to fall apart. Just a very light snow event. So the higher snow potential looks to be in Indiana and right along the river. And then once you go south of there, it just kind of Feldspark doesn't get too exciting. So overall, not a real thrilled model here for how things are going to play out tomorrow night. Here is the NAM. Again, you see what it's doing there. About an inch or so in Indiana, and then once you get to Kentucky, it just kind of loses its oomph, if you will, as it crosses the river. The RPM model, as you just saw, that very similar with the higher totals, Indiana, and then it loses energy in Kentucky. Here's the GFS, just came in moments ago. A little mixed feeling on this one. It's got a different range here, but overall, you see nothing more than really an inch, a little more than an inch. Most areas under that inch. That's worth noting. And then the European model just came in. It's going to be updating again here shortly, but it's a little more aggressive because it's got a horrible grid. The European, when you get short range like this, it kind of broad brushes the area with more moderate amounts, so it's hard to really trust that. Here's the latest Schref model. I've explained this before. It's different model runs of the same thing, giving you snow amounts. Where you see the black line is the average of all those model runs, and the average right now is about 1.5 inches for Louisville. Some of the models going as high as 4 inches in the top tier, and some of them down here at the bottom say less than a ½ inch. So the average is in the middle of 1.5 inches. I think it's fair to say. That's a good average to keep in mind for a lot of our area. Yeah, I mean, this would be a worst case scenario. The only way I could see that is if the forcing hangs on longer than expected and the front moves slower than expected. Then yeah, you could get banding features to give you that. But right now, by looking at the forcing weakening as it crosses Kentucky and the idea that it's moving fast, I'm leaning more toward the bottom tier than I am the top tier of this, based on what usually happens around here. All right, so that's that system. We'll have totals, our official totals, and our forecast come today at 5, so make sure to watch for that with Kevin and myself. Once we get beyond that, we warm up again for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, the next wave comes in. I told you I was digging in. The trend is for it to dig in more toward our east than over us, which means mostly rain. May end briefly as snow Sunday night, early Monday, but it does not look that impressive to me on this latest runs of the GFS. But overall, all the action looks to be north and east of us right now. And when I looked at the longer term, I mentioned February 13th and Valentine's Day. We've been locked in this pattern for a while where we've had nonstop energy diving in this direction, basically. And what we've seen happen is two things. One, you get a clipper that comes off the East Coast and then becomes a nor'easter, or you have the subtropical jet providing you energy, and then you get a phased system that becomes a big storm and heads up the East Coast. And we've seen that trend overall, and that's why the big cities in the Northeast have really benefited from the snow this year, and we have really not. And we're not alone. I mean, the Plain States really haven't had that much excitement either for snow so far, because the way the jet has been locked in. Now, when I looked at the latest ensembles, I can't show you a lot of the data, but when I looked at the longer term going into the second half of February, the indications are that the core of the cold air, which has been centered, sorry about that, let me change that. The core of the cold air, which has been centered so far, mainly across the Great Lakes and the Northeast, is going to shift a little more and aim itself a little more toward the Plain States in this direction later on in the month. There are signs we could get a southeast ridge that may try to develop. That would be a good thing. Yes, it can mess you up and give you too much warm air, and you're going to have a lot of rain events. But a southeast ridge is what really we've been waiting for to see develop. We don't want it to be too aggressive, but just aggressive enough to get the cold air centered more to the west. We need it more to the west. At that point, you get better chances for low pressure to develop then, and then track in a northeast fashion. You get a Texas low and a southern low that can give us a better chance of something more exciting to develop. That's what I'm looking at right now for the second half of the month. I don't have anything specific I can mention, any particular storm. I'm just looking at the overall pattern, and that is what it is trending toward with the idea of the ridge here in the southeast. So we'll see if it happens, but that's the best I can tell you right now. Here's long-term temperatures. This is the European, and you see the trend here. It'll animate. But one cold shot after another for the Great Lakes and the Northeast. It tries to center itself a little more southwest as you get closer to the 13th and the 14th. We'll see if that indeed happens. All right, guys, that's it for now. Light snow event tomorrow night. We'll keep an eye on that. Much more today beginning at 5.